Hey, welcome to Toontyme, bringing you Newcastle United news and discussion. So, I was thinking, I was watching some Champions League football today. Well, not today, yesterday. I was unable to watch tonight's round. I was watching the Bayern versus Barcelona game yesterday, and I was thinking about how how much everything has changed. And watching those players play the high levels of skill, technique, ambition on the ball, just the risk that they took and the ability that was shown, and seeing just the way those teams played. Obviously, Newcastle aren't nowhere near those levels, but we play with that type of bravery, as we've seen this season so far. That Eddie Howe wants the team to attack and play front foot football as much as it is possibly possible at this moment in time with the current personnel, and he's trying to extract everything from them and push them to their limits in terms of fitness, intensity, and the way they approach the game. And I was just thinking, this is just a total turnaround, and to think that Newcastle are now an ambitious team from top to bottom. Well, when you see them on the pitch, some people will say, "Oh, these players, some of them are limited or the squad lacks depth." But one thing it doesn't lack is bravery and heart. And watching them this weekend is going to be a great spectacle, especially for Eddie Howe, as he gets to face his former team and to show how much he's grown from that. He showed that experience that he had with Bournemouth is legendary to those fans, and just in football league history with everything that he done with them. It's just to take them from the position they were in and get them into the Premier League and keep them steady within the league for, I think it was 5 years. He shows the level of skill and ambition in him to continue to try and get the most out of himself and his staff. You know, it's because when I hear like some of the calls or some of the pundits when they talk about him, it's quite disappointing, to be honest. It's almost like they want him to be failed just to be pushed aside. I remember, I think it was Gary Neville talking about how Eddie Howe will probably have to make way for like a Pochettino or someone like that in a couple of years if Newcastle want to push on. And my thinking was, well, how can you say something like that? How can you say that he doesn't have the ability to produce when it matters? You know, I don't think he won a major trophy with Tottenham Hotspurs. Yes, he got them to the Champions League final, and that is a great achievement, especially on the budget that they had at the time. But he never got them any silverware. So what does that mean? How can a manager prove himself unless he's given the opportunity? Eddie Howe has been given the reins by Amanda Staveley, PIF, and the Rubin family, and for now, he's been proving that he's a very successful uh, acquisition by the group, by the ownership group. So I don't understand where that type of thinking comes from. I know I've just gone a bit off tangent, to be honest, but it's just something that annoyed me last week. It's that type of thinking. It's that short-termism in football, and seeing Graham Potter now at Chelsea. I wonder, I wonder what's going to happen with him, and I kind of worry whether it's going to be a thing where Chelsea continue with the hair trigger approach in terms of coaching staff. It's worked for them. They've won a lot of trophies when they were under Abramovich before the forced sale to Todd Bowley, but I don't know whether it's sustainable. And Graham Potter showed when he was at Brighton that he was building something. Fair enough, they didn't have the funds to, you know, giving him the support he needed. So that's why he went to Chelsea. They're already sitting atop the football pyramid. They've got a lot of revenue coming in. They can spend a lot on players and wages and facilities. They've got the best staff, doctors, and coaches, everything. They've got an excellent academy, which Brighton did benefit from when they got a Tariq Lamptey, to be honest. So it's going to be interesting over the next couple of years to see what happens. I believe Eddie Howe. I think he can be the manager for Newcastle, to be honest. I was skeptical when he first came. I thought, well, the way he ended at Bournemouth, I don't know whether he couldn't get a tune out of that squad anymore. But I think I remember hearing that he had quite a bad time in terms of injuries. Bournemouth did, and they came out after the pandemic break. They came out very slow. It was just one of those things. But when he came initially, I had worries about his ability to set up the team defensively, as well as the acquisitions that Bournemouth had made. But I don't know if that was totally upon him. And it seems that even though he does recommend players at Newcastle, it's very much a thing where it's by committee, where he recommends the positions, and he said what type of characters he wants in his squad, and they've come to a consensus where they're identifying players who have the correct character as well as the correct ability to come to Newcastle and continue to show their ability and improve, which Eddie Howe has been showing that is one of his major assets as a coach, that he can improve players and coach a team to set them up to be attacking and so even if we do concede, we can come back, and if we do go ahead, we're not going to sit back. That he's got an approach where he wants to make certain he gets a win, and I really feel like he's the manager going forward. At least he deserves the opportunity, especially from the hole that he dragged Newcastle from. People will point to the money that was spent, but to me that's a load of nonsense. Yes, money was spent, but it was to fix a lot of holes. It's like saying, oh, Newcastle were fine. All he did was give the boat a lick of paint. No, there were gaping holes in the squad. It was very dilapidated. Basically, it's malnourished. The squad, everything about Newcastle at that time. There's still a lot of work that's been done behind the scenes to fix the rot that had set in from the previous regime, and he's not credited enough for what he's done, especially by pundits who are saying that he's going to be replaced by someone like Pochettino if Newcastle want to go forward. And I don't feel that's the case. He was given a longer contract for a reason, that he reflects the values of the ownership group and the ambitions that they have, and they can see his plan and what he wants from them and from the playing staff that he has, the standards he set himself, and the standards that the players expect every day when they go in. I mean, I read something from Dan Burn where he was talking about how coming from Brighton to Newcastle, the intensity of training was higher than he'd experienced previously, as well as that every day there's a new training setup, there's new innovations that Eddie Howe brings, and he's always got something new to work on and a fresh approach to the game, or a tactical problem, or how he wants them to play. So that's going to garner well in terms of his profile within the game, because getting players who are internationals will be willing to speak to other players and say, listen, if you come to Newcastle every day, you're going to find something new from Eddie Howe. Fair enough, he doesn't have the profile in the worldwide game, but if Newcastle can get higher quality players into the squad, they're going to be the advertisement as well. You know, they're going to go out there and say, listen, if you come here, this is how we train, this is how this man is doing things. You are going to be in a club that's extremely ambitious as well as innovative, and is trying to play football in a positive way. And that's what young players want. They want that opportunity to showcase their ability, especially in a team that's going to give them chances to continue to get stats, basically, to build up their CVs. Because at the end of the day, the players are selfish, and they have to be. They're in a trade, so they have to get as much money as they can. It's unfortunate at times, but that is the reality of it. It's a business. It's show business, basically. So they're in entertainment. They have to entertain people, and they have to get the most out of it as possible. And Eddie Howe, I know he understands that part, that element, as much as everyone loves football from being a child and everything, and that passion you have for it. There's also the business element, and he's a man who's showing that he can make a team that's strong defensively, but also very attractive on the eye. That's why I was talking earlier about the Champions League football, that the way Newcastle are starting to play, that it's looking very positive in terms of our ability to attract players going forward. Look, we managed to go and get someone like Alexander Isak, so that's already raised the profile of the club even more. Never, in terms of players being willing to come and play with someone like him. Looking at the players as well going into this weekend for the game against Bournemouth, I heard that the training at the training ground that 6 players didn't train today. It's players who are already on the risk list in terms of injuries in Sam Maximan, Bruno, G and Callum Wilson, but also Miguel Almiron, Jacob Murphy, and who's the other player? And Paul Dummett. Yeah, those 3 players as well weren't available in the training pictures that were shown. So it's a bit of a concern, but I think he'll have a plan. It may also be a bit of gamesmanship by Eddie Howe in terms of trying to unsell Bournemouth in terms of their planning for their setup on Saturday. So we'll have to wait and see. I think at least that matchman should be available unless he's had a setback, which can happen at the best of times. So we'll see. And there's also been a rumour of Newcastle being linked to a young player from Australia. It's Galang Kual. He's a young 17-year-old, so we'll have to wait and see if whether he gets signed up. But he won't be able to play for Newcastle for a while, as he's unlikely to be capable of qualifying for a work permit, so he'll probably have to go out on loan. And that's all I've seen in terms of news. I might start doing a little bit of a Champions League review as well, because I am just interested in football or sports in general, to be honest. So yeah, you may see a bit more posts about football in general, but it's going to very much be Newcastle oriented as always on Toontyme. That is the main focus. Just now and again, if I might see a player that's interesting, just you may see a retweet if I see someone do something spectacular. And as we know now, the club is extremely ambitious and the sky's the limit, so there's a lot more scope for Newcastle to buy players of high quality. So yeah, just join us on Twitter at Toontyme1892 or on the YouTube for Toontyme. We're on other social media platforms as well. You normally find us on the Toontyme. So thank you once again for listening. Wherever you are, have a good morning, afternoon, evening, or night. Peace.